welcome to Garden Fork Radio. This is your first time here. Thanks for downloading and take a minute to check us out. It's an eclectic DIY how-to show with me and my friends. I also have a YouTube channel called Garden Fork. Maybe you've seen that. There's about 350 videos there. My guest today is another YouTuber, Will from the Weekend Homestead. Hey, Will.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm awake. We decided to do this really early, so I rolled out of bed, and it's even earlier for you because you're in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, we're about an hour earlier than you guys, so it's all right, though. It's a nice way to start the day.
I think in the Midwest, people just get up earlier anyway.
Well, I have little kids, too, and I automatically get up early because you want to beat them up in the morning and get out of bed early so you can at least have a cup of coffee and not get tackled right away.
So we're thanking your better half right now for this 45 minutes you're having in the morning with us here.
Absolutely. Actually, she had to head off. Cameron had to head off to school, and Lincoln, they're going to go out and do some shopping. So I'm like, okay.
Sweet. So, hey, everyone. I don't know if you listen to the Root Simple podcast, but that's our West Coast friends, kind of the West Coast version of Garden Fork. But Kelly had she'll tell all about it on her podcast, but she started to have this numbness in her leg, I believe, and they went to the emergency room and discovered that she was having a aortic disruption. What's it called? One of the arteries near her heart was bursting, so she was rushed. Basically, there's a blog post on their site about this, but she was rushed into surgery, and the nurse came in and said, "You need to call your family because you might not come back out of this." And she made it through open heart surgery. She made it through. She's recuperating. But it just kind of makes you, happy that we have modern technology. And people are like, oh, how can I help? And one way that you could help her and everyone in that situation is to donate blood. It doesn't cost any money. I am not a big fan of needles at all. I just kind of faint. I don't really like looking at them. But I do donate blood. I'm an O negative, which is a universal donor blood. And for situations like Kelly's, they don't have time to wait to stock up her kind of blood, so they use O negative. And I just got an email from the Red Cross saying that they are critically short of blood right now. So if you've got the week off, maybe you want to go to redcross.org and learn about a local place to donate blood. So that's my little milk crate moment there. So it's easy. The trick is to hydrate before you go, like schedule your donation 3 days in advance and drinking a bunch more water than you usually do. The night before and the day of, don't drink any coffee. It makes it much easier. So there you go.
Actually, you forgot about the best part, which is after you're done donating, usually they have a pile of donuts or cookies there or something like that. So if you're into snack food, they usually have that right after you're done donating.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I do it.
I guess that.
In our little town, we have a blood drive twice a year, and they have really good egg salad sandwiches.
Very nice.
Which I will never make for myself,
Yeah, and if you live in a big city, I mean, almost everywhere, in at least the metro where we live, you can do a search online, and there's always a place somewhere almost every day that's doing it. So you can kind of fit it in your schedule and go, oh, okay, I'll go in the morning here because they have it here. It's close. Or, oh, it looks like it's going to be in the town next to us, tomorrow. Just, put it on the calendar and show up and donate.
Yeah, I have found that the full-time donation centers, it's a little more comfortable. They don't have to set up every morning. In our little town, then they come twice a year. They first have to set up, and sometimes it takes a while. Bring a book or your iPad because you may be waiting a bit if they're very busy. And also afterward, you do really want to rest a bit before you hop back in your car, or better yet, take the bus or the subway. So,
absolutely.
So another thing we wanted to talk about, I found an article, which I think is kind of relevant to people have their end of the year resolutions and stuff, was a technology tune-up article in the New York Times. And the big thing they talked about was to go to all the sites you use and log in and upgrade your passwords, make them much more secure. Higher security? What am I trying to say? Well,
you want to just change your passwords regularly so that you don't have and don't use the same one for every place. Try to change it everywhere, because then you want it to be letters and numbers, and sometimes websites will let you use symbols, but it makes it harder for people to steal your passwords. And the more often you change them, even if there was a breach, let's say 3 months ago, and you just changed your password, well, now you're safe again. If you don't change it and you are complacent on changing those, then you're susceptible to getting hacked or people getting into your stuff, and then that causes a whole other world of problems.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened with those Yahoo. If you have a Yahoo account, you need to do this.
Absolutely. If you have a Yahoo account, change your password. I think they had something like 400 million passwords stolen or something like that in the last 6 months. And if you have an account, I mean, it's nothing serious. I mean, it's very easily remediable. Just change your password and you're good to go again. And usually they ask you a couple security questions like, if we can't get a hold of you, can we put it in your cell phone number so we could send you a text to verify that it's you, or can we have an alternate email address? So if somebody's messing with your account, we'll send you an email. It'll say, hey, somebody's messing with your account. Is this right or not? And I'll tell you, it makes a difference. I got a notification probably 2 weeks ago from Google that there was, multiple attempts on my password on my Google account for some reason. And I went in and, changed my password and found out everything was okay. It was just my phone was trying to enter and I forgot to update the password on it. But, those safeguards are there to tell you that something's happening on your account.
Yeah, they have this thing called two-factor verification, which means for when you log into that account, especially like a banking account or something, you will use your password and then it will send you a text message with a code, and then you type in that code. Also, you can also opt for having them email you the code, I believe, as well. But sending it to your cell phone is super secure. Then, yeah, they have your cell phone number, but if there's some evildoer in Eastern Europe that's trying to hack into your account, they don't have your cell phone. So.
Actually, a very popular hack right now is you'll get a phone call from somebody that says, hi, I'm from Microsoft and you have a virus on your computer. Let me help you fix it. And, if you don't know what you're doing or it sounds really serious, you log into your computer and punch in your information and follow their instructions. Well, what you're doing is you're putting a software program on your computer that allows them to get into your computer, steal all of your information or lock it down with a locking software, and then they ask you, okay, we'll send you $200 or whatever to get us to unlock your computer. And it's a way that a lot of guys are doing ransom on computers, and it's actually it's very popular right now. And so if you ever get a phone call from Microsoft, one, they don't tend to call you, so they'll send you an email saying, hey, there's a problem and fix it, or they'll send out a notification. They don't call anybody. So if you get a phone call, be suspect of that right away.
Yeah, I've yet to get that phone call, thankfully. But then I don't answer the phone unless I recognize the phone number. I have gotten the IRS one. This is the IRS. We're about to sue you.
Yeah. The one person in our office ended up getting that call, and she's like, well, I'm on a Mac, and that was the end of the call. So, that happens sometimes. So.
Oops. Another thing they bring up is to maintain your devices. And it says, after regular use, our smartphones and computers start to feel sluggish and short-lived, but a bit of maintenance can make them feel brand new. And they talk about on the Mac running an app called Coconut Battery, or Android devices using the Battery by MacroPinch app. And it'll tell you if your battery is starting to fail, and you can actually get the battery replaced on a lot of devices. Not all devices, but on a number of them. And that makes a big difference, I think. So.
Most definitely. And actually, one other one, and I think they covered this in the article, is update your software on your router, on your modem, on your computer, because that helps fix security. Because let's say if you have one of the brand name routers or one of, a device in your house, if you don't update the software, if that company came out with a security patch to fix a problem and you don't update, then you're still vulnerable to that. So making those updates fixes that for you.
Yeah, they said here, they said, don't neglect your ugly Wi-Fi router tucked away in the corner of the living room. Because when you got your cable installed, you probably opted for the cable company's Wi-Fi router as well. And so how old is that thing? The New York Times has a site called The Wirecutter, and they have a recommendation for a certain router to use. And I'll put that in the show notes here. I have a Apple router, and I have them everywhere, and they are rock solid, and they are really easy to update the software. And if there's a problem, if it needs a software update, the router blinks yellow instead of green. And I know to log into my computer and do a little software upgrade, and it's really easy to do. And I've never had a problem with the Apple routers.
Yeah, actually, we looked at at our router and figured out that it was probably about 4 years old. And the nice thing about updating and buying a new router is you also get faster speeds. So if you have, smart televisions in your house, or you have more smaller devices that are all using Wi-Fi, now all of a sudden you can take advantage of these newer and faster speeds on them and better security. So that's kind of a nice thing to do and update on your machine.
So you can watch Garden Fork on your smart TV,
Absolutely.
I inherited, my friend bought one of these 4K edge-to-edge bajillion-dollar televisions, and I helped him get it up the stairs, and we hooked it up. And the first thing I said was, let's watch Garden Fork. And so Garden Fork is actually loaded in 1080p rather than 4K. But on this 4K screen, watch using the YouTube app on the TV, it looked pretty darn good.
No, we do that all the time when the new episodes come out. It's kind of an easy way. Instead of having our son, crowded around a small device or something like that, it's really easy to throw it up on the TV and have him watch it.
That's pretty cool. Another thing they talk about is being less wasteful, and I touched on this a bit, but to buy previously used items or refurbished items. All my iMacs and my laptops and iPads are all reconditioned. I buy them from the Apple Store, and there's at the bottom of the Apple Store or on the side, there's a refurbished link, and they'll knock 30% off the price of these items and give you a 1-year warranty with them. And I don't care that I don't have the newest, greatest thing. I'm happy if it's a year old and it has a 1-year warranty, and you save an awful lot of money.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, too, because I worked in the retail space. I worked for one of the big companies a number of years ago with the big price tag on the side of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will buy products, they'll open the box, but they won't use the product. They'll open it and figure out this isn't right for me or whatever. Those products go on a pallet and get sent back to the DCs or the distribution centers, and then they go through that product and figure out what's wrong with it. Maybe some of it goes back to the manufacturer. So some of these products that you're buying refurbished, once the tape is cut on the box, it's considered open box or used, even if it was never used, just because the packaging was open. So at that point in time, a lot of cases, refurbished products like refurbished iPhones, refurbished MacBooks, a number of different pieces and products along the way are actually new products that are just being sold as used because they had been opened or returned during the return policy.
How cool is that, huh?
Yeah. Yep. I think it was about 30% of products that are in the refurbished category have been used, have never been used, and then another 30% of products have only been used once or powered up and then turned off and returned.
Not bad. Yeah, I love it because I'm just kind of a frugal guy. So, but I think that's the Garden Fork audience,
Absolutely.
So, and they just also they finish out the article by just saying be a smarter shopper, and you don't have to wait for Black Friday or Cyber Monday to get a lot of deals. They've actually found out the New York Times has done some studies and found that a lot of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals aren't really as great a deals as they could be. And that also, a lot of the sites will put stuff on super discount throughout the year as well. So you don't have to necessarily wait. You just need to kind of keep on top of it. There's a couple of web tools. One's called Camel, and another one's called Keepa that can help you do price tracking on Amazon.com, stuff like that. And I usually research things, and I take my time before I buy them, and I search around and see what the best price is. So what do you do, Will?
Actually, the same thing. It's nice because on Amazon you can search and have a click box that'll choose whether you want new or used or refurbished, and like the drone. I think we talked about it before. The drone that I have, I actually bought that as a refurbished product, and it came in a brown. Instead of coming in the full color box, it came in a brown box. Everything inside looked new because what they do is they take the main unit and they put it in a brown box, and then they put all brand new accessories. So the charger, the props, the paperwork, everything was new. The only thing that was opened actually inside the box was the drone itself, and I saved $200 on it. So I mean, it's definitely worth it to shop, those categories, because, if a new product is $600 and you can buy a refurbished one for $400, that's just as good as the $600 one being on sale 10% off. It's better than that. So
neat. Wow. So let's shift gears. Will has been working on his Weekend Homestead, which is the name of your YouTube channel. And I know we talk a lot ourselves, but I can't remember where we left off in the podcast about what you've been doing. So why don't you bring us up to date?
Sure. It's a ranch-style home that we bought back in the middle of summer. I actually wish we would have bought it a little bit earlier so we didn't have to race the snow. But we're in the process of doing a complete remodel on the house. Everything from all the utilities and all the basic services of the house, all the way to raising the ceiling in the great room and adding and changing some bathrooms. It's as close to new construction as you can get without starting a new home. So we started off with a simple plan, started working on it. We're probably about 2/3 of the way through the project. We've got everything buttoned up for the outside because we have to deal with the winter.
Yeah.
And we'll pick up the outside projects in the springtime. And then on the inside, we're now in the process of doing finishing. I just had the sheetrock and painting work done in the property. And by the way, thank you for the recommendation of hiring that out, because that was way easier than doing it ourselves. It probably would have taken us 3 weeks to do it ourselves. These guys came in 2 days and they had the entire place done, and we were able to do other things like plumbing and electrical while they were doing that. So that was great.
Sometimes it's better just to drop the money on that kind of thing.
Well, the other thing is it wasn't really that much more expensive, at least where we were, because we're kind of in a remote location. It wasn't that much more expensive than us doing it. Plus, your time has got a value to it also. I mean, we were able to get all of the plumbing work done in the basement for the well while those guys were upstairs finishing the sheetrock and so on. So we kind of got two things done at once, which if we would have done it ourselves, I would have spent 3 weeks trying to fix the sheetrock, and it would have turned out not that great because I'm not very good at it, and then would have spent probably another 2 weekends painting. Well, that's almost a month's worth of weekends doing that stuff versus we got other things done while those guys. So it helps speed the process up and allow us to we spent Christmas at the house this year, which was kind of nice. So we got it to the point where we could actually use it. So my wife's happy about that.
Yeah. Did you hire an architect for the renovations, or you just worked with a contractor, or?
A lot of this design work. So right after we purchased the property, I did a lot of research on what we could do and contacted a company in town that builds something called MicroLambs, because we wanted to take out some walls inside the house. But you can't just start taking out walls in a house without figuring out what is it supporting, is it load bearing. So once we got into the attic, we figured out that one of the walls that we wanted to take out was load bearing. So I sat down with a firm up where our cabin is and said, hey, we want to take this wall out. And they drew up a really simple design of what we could do in our great room. And then we purchased, in part of that design work, they sell their own products. And we purchased something called a MicroLamb from them, which is a giant wood beam. It was 24 feet long, and we installed it in the roof or in the ceiling, and started putting all the other pieces in. And then some of my buddies who do carpentry work came up and helped hang all the 2x6 joists and everything. And, we were off to the races at that point.
Wow. How cool is that? Yeah. Cause I've seen Will has a bunch of video tours of it, and that great room has a huge span. And I was just very intrigued. On MicroLamb, it's sometimes considered a manufactured beam, but it's at its simplest, and I'm very simplifying this, but it's basically a bunch of plywood laminated and glued into a very long beam that is super strong. Is that basically it?
That is, and the cool thing is it actually came in 3 parts when it came to the property, and they assembled it on site. So you can't necessarily drive down the road with a 20 or 30 foot beam, unless you have a big flatbed truck. And these guys pulled up in this almost looked like a moving van, and I'm like, well, where's the beam? And they opened up the back of the truck, and there it is in 3 parts. They laid it out, started putting in the bolts and this adhesive material, and they said, okay, we're going to set this here, and we're going to come back tomorrow and we'll install it. And over that 24-hour period, the glue cured and everything else, they came back and tightened all the bolts one more time. And then we actually used one of the bedroom windows, because you can't necessarily go in a door and then make the turn and make a turn. You kind of have to go straight shot in. So we took out one of the windows on the end of the house and walked the beam through. We had 5 guys, 3 outside and 2 inside, and eventually got it inside. And then we had rented something called material lift. It's really simple. It was, I think, $30 an hour or something. So we had it for 2 hours. You put the product on there, and it's like a hydraulic jack that lifted this beam up in the air. We built all the supports underneath it to the spec that they had designed, and we were ready to go. I mean, it was a very easy process. Took a little bit of planning on the front side, but in the end, I think it turned out really good.
It looks great in the videos there, and I just kind of love using gizmos like that. I had to sheetrock a 12-foot ceiling, and we rented a drywall lift, and then I realized the drywall lift only went up to 10 feet. So
well, it got you close.
yeah, but 5/8 fire-rated plywood on your head while you're trying to screw it in, it's not fun.
Yeah, I'll say that when we put the ceiling up, so after we had put the beam up, we had sheeted the ceiling with pine tongue and groove boards, and working at a 45-degree angle up on a top of a scaffolding with your neck bent trying to hammer these in, and each board is only 4 inches wide, so you've got dozens and dozens of them on each side. Your neck just is killing you by the end of the day, and some of that stuff that gets tiring. That's kind of the hard part of the project.
Yeah. So I have been doing some cleaning up. I always have a goal every year to be able to pull at least one car into my garage, my 2-car garage, because the other half is full of Troy-built lawn and power equipment at this point. And I succeeded in that. I had what I realized kind of while I was working on it, and I walk into the garage and you get overwhelmed because the workbench has a bunch of junk on it. There's a pile of pallets over here. There's a file cabinet for our newest iteration of our maple syrup evaporator coming along. And then I just kind of get wigged out about it, and I don't get anything done. And I realized if I just start small, and if every day I just move a couple of things, I actually was able to get the garage clean.
Yeah, we always sort everything into kind of 3 piles: keep, get rid of, and then the get rid of pile is either sell it or donate it. And in a lot of communities, it's really easy. The veterans groups will come around and pick up the donations and do that, or there's drop-off locations for donation stuff, which is a really good way to get rid of things if you don't want to sell them. And then we use Craigslist and Facebook app and things like that to sell other bigger items if we wanted to sell them off. But yeah, it's you kind of have to do, after Christmas, you kind of do a little bit of a purge in the beginning of the year to get kind of the stuff that you haven't used in your house out the door. So
yeah, I have a couple of methods. In Brooklyn, we have our block has a Google email list, and I'm like, because I have a computer monitor. I'm like, okay, anyone want a computer monitor? And then we have, for the neighborhood I live in, it's called Next Door Neighbor, which Rick uses a lot in his area, but you can also put stuff for sale or for free there. And then I have a weather station that Tyler from Allison House gave me several years ago. It's a super nice high-end home weather station, and it started to fail, so I replaced it, and it still had a bunch of working parts, and I hate just throwing electronics and plastic in the trash or recycle. So I put it on eBay. I took a picture of it. I said, here's the model. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I'd just be happy if someone could use the parts. And I put it at $1. The first bid would be $1. And I sold it for $41.
Did you get a chance to find out from the person who bought it what they're going to use it for? Because I'm always curious about that when I put something for free or something cheap like that, and somebody shows up to pick it up, and I'm like, well, it doesn't work. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to do this with it, or we're going to do that. And did you ask them what you're going to use it for?
No, I just presumed that he had the same weather station, and there's a history of the different components breaking, and if one of the components breaks, you can still use the larger weather unit, but you're not being able to track that weather data, either the precipitation or the humidity or temperature or wind direction. So, no, in that situation, I wasn't curious. I did buy a new filing cabinet for my new evaporator. I bought a used beat-up cabinet, and the thing was broken, and the people didn't ask me what I was going to do with it. I just was like, how much for that cabinet? But I really wanted to tell them. I'm like, why don't you ask me? Why don't you ask me what I'm going to do with this, So it was...
Is that a legal size file cabinet, or is that just a standard size?
Well, the first evaporator is a standard size, and this one I wanted a slightly wider one, so I got the legal size is wider. And I'm emailing with a fabricator guy who I met on eBay about making me a custom evaporator tray out of stainless steel for a really reasonable price, which I will once he makes it and sends it to me. I'll talk about it. We'll make a video about that. So
Are you doing the type of evaporator tray where it's just a solid tray, or is it going to have the pattern where it kind of zips back and forth and then dumps out the end when it's finished?
It'll be the latter. It'll have 3 narrow, long channels that will drain into each other, and then at the end, there's a dump valve to pour it off. So I'm really upgrading. I'm going from the buffet stainless steel buffet trays that I've been using to a real evaporator pan. But most of the pans, they're like $1,000 online, and this guy is a stainless steel welder, and he also makes his own syrup, and he just has this he sells them on eBay pre-made, and then he'll do custom orders as well. And I'm trying to get him round to the idea of promoting this file cabinet evaporator design, and he could be the guy supplying the evaporator tray. It's like, go get your used file cabinet and drop my tray on top, and you're good to go, you know?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. We're actually thinking of expanding our operation also. Right now I have the 55-gallon barrel that we use that we lay on a side, and then there's trays that go on the top of it.
Yep.
But we're thinking of actually making a second one of those because we're going to try something a little different this year. We're going to tap our maple trees, but we have a large number of birch trees, at least an acre of birch trees on the property. So we're going to try to make birch syrup this year.
Interesting, because I have a friend of mine, Leda Meredith, who's a big forager, has several books out about it, actually. And she turned me on to the black birch in my woods here that you can make a black birch syrup. And the black birch, evidently, the sap runs just after the maple syrup runs, so I wouldn't have to be doing 2 different things at once. So I'm kind of curious about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we found on ours too, is that about the same time the maple trees are running, the birch trees on our property would be running. So we picked up an extra kind of salvaged some 5-gallon buckets that were from a restaurant, and then they're the food grade ones, and we'll just use those, and we sprayed a little green spray paint on the side of them to denote that they're part of the birch product, because we don't want to mix the two together. And then we're going to try to make birch syrup, so we'll see how it goes.
Neat. Wow. Do we have anything more on our list? House update? No, I think that's it. By the way, I got a really nice Christmas card from I don't want to use it. Well, Casey with Little Black Dogs. Thank you very much for that. And our latest video is about how to make your own. They could be greeting cards or Christmas cards. It's called lino block printing. I love the analog printing methods, and so between Christmas and New Year's, I'll be working on my Christmas cards.
I like the video that you did. This one was great, but actually the previous one where you had it say "oh" instead of "ho ho ho," I thought that was nice on the card. Yeah,
that's Eric. Don't practice. We did a previous video with a friend of mine who is a arts and crafts expert, and she was really good about showing how to do block printing. And of course, at the end, there's kind of a funny Eric moment there. So
it was great, though. It was fun.
Well, cool. So, Will, we can find you on YouTube at the Weekend Homestead.
Yep, Weekend Homestead. We're on Instagram now, so I've been updating photos on there. If you're interested in following along with our project, I try to get a couple out every week. And actually, another spot where people have gotten hold of me is on the Garden Fork Facebook group. I post on there occasionally. So.
Yeah, I realized that our Facebook page and our Facebook group have almost the same name, so I have to change that because it's a little confusing. The page, you can like it, and you can't post stuff to it. It doesn't show up in everyone's feed. The group is a private group where we have fun conversations, so I got to figure out how to differentiate the two of those things. And if you want to join the group, you just have to request to join and we approve you. We just have to keep the spammers out. We had a real problem with that before. So there you go.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, sir. Everyone, if you want to get to us, it's radio@gardenfork.tv. I owe Maddie an email. He sent this questionnaire that he wanted me to answer on air, so I'll work on that. But it's radio@gardenfork.tv. Thanks for taking the time, Will.
No problem. Thanks for having me again.